Okay, now here's an interesting one. It had that this pattern on top. And this side it had this little streak going across there. Not really sure what that is. But this is more sort of fossil than it is the tater, but cut it open and yeah, it's kind of interesting. Little strange band, little brachia in there. Little interesting makeup. This thing kind of going right through the layers. Whatever that might have been. Not much color, but definitely an interesting pattern. Now this one on the outside, you could just see some faint banding. And of course they, you know, baking out in the sun and then the cold and the hot really fades the outside color, and the inside's you know, kind of interesting red banding. Pretty plain though. You know, this one again, it had a little hints of color, what might be on the inside, but no, I didn't think it was going to look like that. It's got some cool features in it. Now, this is a little tiny guy, but it had some layering, so I figured I'd give it a cut. And yeah, pretty nice layering in there. I don't know if that's all little tiny fractures in there, if this would be workable or not. But now this one you could definitely see some kind of banding going on the outside. And it's got a kind of an interesting look. There's a little clown face, right? Little happy smirky guy, but not real bright, real light orange to brown. So on this one it had the on the outside almost the appearance of an agate, and I doubt it is, but still a real interesting looking pattern. Whoa, whoa. Well, this one was looking pretty good on the outside, and yeah, this has got that real splattered look. This one didn't have much, but on this side it had that kind of that thunder egg form. And of course it died out as you were going through. But you can see how big that is on the outside, how fast it got to that tiny little thing there. Now here's another one, you can see some banding. And that's a piece of string there. But yeah, it's got that little bit of banding on top. It's got them little eyes all over in there. Kind of a neat looking band going across the top. There's a really little tiny guy. but it had some interesting quartz banding on there, and yeah, it's kind of a banded quartz. If you can pick up them little tiny grains that are in there. Now, this one I just cut just because the color was that cream colored, so you wouldn't think that on the outside. Well, you kind of get a hint of that color, but you can see a lot of agate there up on top. Not a lot, but some banded agate on the top there. I like how it has those gold lines going in there. Now this one I thought, you know, it showed signs like it might have a little bit of pink in there, but no, it died out real fast. Got some interesting banding going on, but pretty plain. Well, this one had, again, some interesting, just on that one side though. So I just cut that little cap off there, and yeah, that's got some pretty good pattern. This top is all post rock, but this bottom right here, you know, that might make a good cab, possibly. Okay, here's one of them conglomerate looking ones, and you can see all the internal makeup of all the small stones conglomerated into one big stone. Interesting, but a lot of little pits. So now on the outside of this one, you could tell right off the bat, this is a conglomerate, otherwise it's got leprosy. And I cut it, and yeah, pretty interesting in there. Very interesting on the outside. Here's another one of those conglomerates. This one had some good coloring. Got a little bit of fingernailing in there, and yeah, pretty good. I liked how they have these little, the small stones are layered, kind of like that fingernail kind of look to them. Nice, but again, the host rock, the conglomerate that hooked, concreted everything back together, very, very pockmarked. So again, you'd have to fill that in. Now this one had some real good looking stuff on the outside, and yeah, kind of interesting. Alright, now this one, wasn't really sure, but it's got some cool patterns. A couple of nice fractures running through there. You have to dig your way around here to get a good chunk, but definitely there's a good stone down in there. Small, but might be nice. Now this one had a really nice agate on the outside. As you can see it running across. I wish I would have seen that better when I cut it. I might not have cut right through it, but that's the inside. And you can see that agate right there. Doesn't go in very deep, but it is pretty good looking agate. Alright, here's this one, had some nice looking on the outside. And yeah, it continued right on through. Nice ghost form there. Now this one had this crazy looking layers, but all coming from like one point, more like a saginite spray. And that's what it looked like cutting it open. Definitely a crazy looking rock, although it's pretty fractured. Little streak of purple coming in there. Really fine. Almost like hair. All coming from this one little central point. So yes, very bizarre. Alright, this one just gave you a little bit to look at on the outside. But yeah, wow, look at that. You don't find too many like this, but these are definitely wild looking. That orange right there, that's really nice. And again, look at from the outside. You can see the orange there, but right here, just starting to fade into yellow. But yeah, wow, what a pretty stone. Yeah, the other half, this just broke away, small bits and pieces. But this is kind of, again, you see a little bit of red on the outside. And you got that nice looking flame on the inside. Now this on the outside had that good looking pink. And you know, it pretty much all faded away. I mean, you can still see the real light banding in there, but those veins of iron staining just came in and you know, just soaked the whole thing up with that iron staining. There's another one. Again, they had that little bit of a good look, but yeah. Alright, there's another one. This had that kind of that cool effect too. Not real colorful. Got some banding along the top there, but a lot of fracturing. So yes, a bummer. And here's one with some really good orange on the outside. And it pretty much faded away to a lighter orange. But not bad. Still interesting. A little bit of orange left there. Could be a good stone. So this had some interesting patterns on the outside. The piece I cut away was so thin it just broke apart, but yeah, would you look at that? You got almost that green right there. Real cool looking bottom. And it explodes into that yellow with that streak of black going in there. That's a beauty. Oh, that'd make a good stone right there. Beautiful piece. Now this one you can kind of see some light color along that edge there, but yeah, look at that nice looking bands of orange in there. And again, this white isn't fractures. It's just where the color didn't go in the calcite. But still real cool looking how it's got that double, whoa, almost did it again. It's got that double rainbow effect. Real pretty stone. This one had a good looking effect there too. And this missing other half is I just dropped it. Yeah, I don't know how much stuff I drop on the floor in here. Swear to God. But yeah, so I cut it open and it's kind of got that little burst pattern, radiating out. But of course, it's got the I drank too much last night and I got bloodshot eyes. So yeah. There's that. Now, on this one I cut, and of course the other piece fell apart, but kind of had some interesting pattern. Not too much for color, but still alright. This one had an interesting pattern, but it was pretty thin, so I just cut this just in half. And yeah, wow, look at that. That radiating outward like that. Of course, big fracture going right through the center. But still some workable stuff in there. Might be a good looking piece in there. Okay, now this one didn't really have anything on the outside to look at. But, you know, kind of had that neat effect up on top. That's pink. So, and other than that, other than being a little bit of pink going across the top, and there's this guy. And also, you know, I said this 1,000 times before, these cameras just do not pick up the color. Plus, this is a light bulb because we never get sunshine in Wisconsin. So, you know, it's just not picking up the color of what this looks like in person. Because to me, you know, it's really pink up here. You know, this is like a bright orange colored. So yes, the camera just doesn't pick it up. But yeah, that's a kind of pretty neat looking stone too. And of course, on the outside, you know, that rind you get, you just wouldn't think this is on the inside. But neat looking piece. Now on this one you can see that little band of orange running around on the outside. And it continued right on through. Definitely interesting. And then for all you West Coasters, I picked this up in California off the beach. And, you know, you tell me what it is. Kind of look like an agate on the outside, but, you know, I don't know. I'm not from California, so. Is that a waterline agate? Layered quartz. It was interesting, so I picked it up, took it home, cut it. There's what we got. And of course, I made some cabs. You can see this cab I made out of this stone. You can see the shine. This just polishes up beautifully. Okay, here's another cab I did. I don't know what I did with the piece, but you can see the sparkles in there. You can see a little scuff there I gotta fix up yet. But yeah, nice looking piece. And here's another one I did. Let's See, there were a couple good fractures going through there. And now here's a bigger tater. It had these this white lines going through there, and I thought that would be really interesting to cut. And then I cut it, and oh yeah, it turned red, right? So who would have thought? Whoop. Who would have thought that was hiding on the inside? So I cabbed it. All right. Let me put this down here without doing too much. So again, you can see the crystal bogs all over there. That's, you know, they're underneath. That's clear calcite underneath. So, but you can just see, you know, see them little crystal pockets all over inside. Just a sparkly beast. And that's what it looks like. Plus, it's completely, no, not completely, but pretty translucent. I could, let me do this up here. Oh, sorry. There you can kind of see the, oh, probably not now. There you go. The translucency in that. But, yeah, what a pretty piece. And of course, with this, let me back out a little bit. With this big chunker, there's a ton more on there. No fractures. Well, maybe there's a couple fractures on this side off that top, but pretty clean. Get some good, lots of good pieces off of that yet.